Hello YouTube! Scott here with an instant review of Marvel's What If. Episode 9, is called What If the Watcher Broke His Oath. Now, to start off, I looked back a little bit because it actually occurred to me that this show was a lot like The Twilight Zone. I mean, you have a narrator who's kind of watching everything, separate stories that don't seem to tie together, more narration at the end. The difference being the Twilight Zone was basically a total anthology. There was never a plot that wrapped it all up. You don't get that here because you know about Ultron's plan to take over the multiverse. And the question is that better? And I think the way that they ended this may have been a little bit predictable, but on the other hand, it was a compelling story. I did like to see the way it ended. And on the whole, let's say equal. I mean, The Twilight Zone's a classic show. But the voice acting was really well done. The plot moved along. The characters meshed well together, considering, and this is a little spoilery, that they came together from, alternate universes where they weren't the same kind of people they were in the Marvel Prime timeline. But as for the plot, let's get to it, okay? So, you may remember at the end of the last episode, Uatu, the Watcher, met up with, what are we calling him, Strange Supreme? Basically, the Doctor Strange that merged his two selves. In his little pocket dimension, presumably where Ultron couldn't reach. And they hatched a plan. And that plan, of course, involved grabbing characters from all the other universes we've already seen. Captain Carter gets pulled off from where she would have been in the Marvel Prime line in Captain America the Winter Soldier. T'Challa is recruited just after saving Peter Quill from being used by his dad to, take over that universe, because ego got a ego. There's a funny scene where they get Party Boy Thor from, the universe where he was an only child, and the Watcher is trying to recruit him. He's all like, Thor, Odin's son, you have been chosen. But Thor can't hear him, and he's too busy taking out Ultron clones at the time. So the Watcher just grabs him. You get Killmonger, who apparently killed the King of Wakanda because the throne room is in ruins, and Pepper Potts and Shuri are right on his tail, just about to get him with the Dora Milaje, but the Watcher grabs him because he's needed. And then there's another universe, I don't know if I missed this or something, where Tony Stark and Gamora are there with Peter Dinklage's character from Infinity War, whose name I unfortunately can't remember, as he's forging the Infinity Gauntlet. And the Watcher comes and gets Gamora. Now, everybody gets together in what is apparently, I don't know, some place in space-time. I don't know. It looks like a pub that Peggy Carter remembers. And the plan is that Gamora has a device called the Infinity Grinder, which can destroy Infinity Stones. So they just need to lure Ultron to a safe place and attack him. That doesn't go exactly the way they planned. I mean, Doctor Strange whips up a spell that gives them all super protection, and then Thor, who says he's known for attracting unwanted attention, attracts the unwanted attention of Ultron, because it's too early. Side note here, the guy that got to voice Ultron, he's clearly doing a James Spader impression, but not quite pulling it off. Anyway, there is a massive battle. In the middle of it, T'Challa manages to get a hold of Ultron, and without him knowing, steal the Soul Stone off of his armor. And there's an interesting little bit where Doctor Strange opens up a portal from the zombie universe and just buries Ultron under zombies so they can make their escape. Now, they pass through a portal and wind up in Ultron's original homeworld, the one where he won, where basically there's no other humans except Natasha, but they don't know that yet. But she does happen to show up while they're fighting, and there is just so much extended battle here. magic and weapons and infinity stones, and Ultron actually gets smart at one point and uses the time stone to freeze everybody so he can get the soul stone back. And Doctor Strange is fighting the crap out of him with his magic. They seem kind of evenly matched, especially considering at one point, a little further back, zombie Scarlet Witch showed up and she couldn't stop Ultron. Like when he just takes a blast from her standing, she's obviously a zombie, but her face registers confusion right before the planet blows up. Let's see, where was I? Alright, so all the heroes manage to get together, and yes, I'm even calling Killmonger a hero here because he does fight for the side of good. And they get Ultron restrained, and the Infinity Grinder comes up, pulls all the stones off of Ultron, and it looks like the day is saved. Except they all kind of forgot something very important. The Infinity Stones are unique to the universe they were created in. So Gamora's Infinity Grinder, created in a different universe, isn't going to work on them. Fortunately, Natasha, who, as I mentioned, did show up, has something that can. And it's Arnim Zola's consciousness in one of Hawkeye's arrows. Because apparently this is going to be a thing that works. And in the middle of this heated battle, it's the women that save the day. Not necessarily Gamora, because she got blown off somewhere. But Natasha and Peggy, who were friends, actually, in Peggy's universe, and that somehow helps to facilitate instant trust between the two of them, even though this is a different Natasha. They get a plan together where Natasha takes Clint's bow and the arrow, and of course says, whispers, "This is for you, Clint," before she fires it. And Peggy jumps on Ultron and distracts him enough to get that arrow in his eye. And you get this awesome shot inside Ultron's head where it's like the two competing systems. There's Vision's basically Vision's face and Zola's face, and they have a little argument before Zola destroys Ultron and takes over his body. And as that body falls to the ground, Killmonger, who apparently just can't stop betraying people, decides to use one leftover Ultron head to somehow take the armor and the Infinity Stones. And he says he wants to use it to set everybody's universes right. Nobody believes it, especially Zola, who gets up with Ultron's body and wants it back. And as the two of them are fighting and the Infinity Stones, 5 of them anyway, are suspended between them, Doctor Strange casts that same spell he cast at the end of his episode, which locks the two of them in a tiny little pocket universe to fight forever. So, that's the ending that we get. Well, the end of defeating the enemy, anyway. Because, at the end, all the heroes are sent back to their universes exactly when they left. With one exception. Because Natasha doesn't want to go back. She's literally the only person left really in her universe, because Ultron destroyed the whole thing. And I don't know if she persuaded the Watcher to break his oath. That would make sense since it's the title. Or if he's the one who decided it. But instead, he sends it to the one universe that we didn't see represented. The one where Ant-Man was killing off the Avengers before they could be the Avengers. And she shows up just in time to knock out Loki, take his scepter, and control him. So, happy endings all around. But they weren't done yet, because there is a mid-credits scene. And it's really great. It is, because as Captain Carter was getting ready to go back to her universe, she asked the Watcher if she had earned her happy ending, because she wanted to go back to the past and be with Steve. But he didn't let her. She went right back to where she was. Natasha helped her take out Bartok, and they found out what the soldiers on the ship were protecting. And it was the Hydra Stomper. And Natasha even said there was someone inside. So it really does look like happy endings all around. And the Watcher swears to protect the multiverse from then on. And then we have the end. But it does still raise the question, would just a straight anthology have been better? We could come back with another season where things are different yet again. Just tiny little changes that affect everything. But if this is the way they're going to go, then I'd say my thoughts on this entire thing. I did like the way they managed to pull references to every previous episode together in the end. I I suppose in the end, yeah, I did like that there was a common goal for everyone to fight for instead of just separate episodes. The plot was good, the pacing was good. I don't know if they're going to make it back for another season. I'd be a little bit surprised. But I suppose when you have an infinite multiverse, there are technically infinite enemies that have a chance of trying to conquer the whole thing. And I mean, we've seen that Kang the Conqueror is going to be the big villain going forward. Maybe he shows up. I don't know. But I guess we'll all find out if they bring back What If for another season. And whether or not they do, until next time, I've been Scott, and this has been Opinions No One Cares About. Everyone has opinions. This one was mine.